Every October, humanity collectively decides that logic is optional. We'll spend hundreds on fog machines and fake blood, but still believe that a razor blade apple is lurking in every candy bowl like it's a suburban saw trap. It's the one night a year when superstition goes mainstream, and reason takes a personal day. But don't worry, because if you think that's ridiculous, the real horrors are still coming. 1. Every Halloween, someone somewhere still believes their kid's candy is a Trojan horse for mass murder. Like the suburbs are secretly run by Willy Wonka's evil twin. The razor blades and apples myth has been floating around since the 70s, and despite zero credible evidence, it resurfaces every year like a zombie nobody asked for. Parents will X-ray a Snickers bar but happily let their child eat an entire Costco bag of sugar disguised as fun size. It's amazing. You'll trust Jeff from down the street to mow your lawn, but not to hand out a Milky Way without attempting homicide. The real danger isn't poison or razors. It's your kid turning into a human pogo stick after 6 pounds of corn syrup. If anyone's dying tonight, it's your sleep schedule. 2. Then there's the myth that Satanists roam the suburbs every October, sacrificing goats and teenagers like it's a clearance sale at Spirit Halloween. In reality, the only ritual most people perform is panic buying candy corn and pretending to enjoy it. The Satanic Panic of the 1980s convinced parents that every teenager in black eyeliner was one chant away from summoning the devil. Newsflash, most of those kids couldn't even summon the courage to make eye contact. It's not the forces of darkness ruining Halloween. It's Karen posting on Facebook about strange figures near her mailbox that turn out to be her own decorations. If the devil wanted to recruit new followers, he wouldn't pick the suburbs. He'd pick TikTok. 3. Let's talk about the myth that Halloween candy is secretly laced with drugs. Yeah, because drug dealers, the same people charging $80 for an edible, are just giving away their inventory to 8-year-olds dressed as minions. Right. The DEA loves to issue warnings about rainbow fentanyl, like it's a new Skittles flavor. But the truth is, nobody is funding a free neighborhood-wide trip to the astral plane. It's paranoia wrapped in cellophane. If anything, the real drug epidemic on Halloween is caffeine, because every parent I know is microdosing espresso just to survive trick-or-treat night. Nobody's handing out psychedelics to kids. They're hoarding them to deal with the kids. 4. There's this lovely belief that black cats are bad luck, especially on Halloween, when people act like every feline with a dark coat is a witch's intern. Shelters even stop adoptions in October because too many people still think cats are cursed familiars waiting to steal souls or Netflix. Passwords. The irony? The only bad luck here is belonging to a species humans keep blaming for the moon looking spooky. Black cats aren't omens of death. They're introverts with great fashion sense. Meanwhile, people who believe this nonsense will still trust their horoscopes like it's gospel. Mercury's in retrograde isn't science either, Sharon. And neither is avoiding a cat because it matches the night sky. 5. A lot of adults still whisper that Halloween is a satanic holiday. Yes, because nothing screams demonic like store-bought cobwebs and a $14 polyester ghost costume that smells like despair. Halloween's roots are actually from Samhain, an ancient Celtic festival about harvest and remembering the dead, not pentagrams and goat sacrifices. But sure, let's pretend your neighbor's inflatable skeleton army is a satanic ritual instead of a midlife crisis expressed through yard decor. If Satan truly wanted a holiday, it wouldn't involve handing out free candy. It'd involve paperwork, traffic jams, and Wi-Fi outages. That's true evil. 6. There's a myth that pumpkins ward off evil spirits. Really? Because if the devil shows up and your defense plan is a vegetable with a candle inside, maybe evil deserves the win. Jack-o'-lanterns were meant to scare off bad spirits in folklore, but now they mostly scare raccoons and HOA boards. We've taken an ancient superstition and turned it into a nationwide arts and crafts competition that ends with 80% of the pumpkins rotting on porches by November 3rd. If spirits are real, they're probably staying away because they're embarrassed for us. 7. Some folks believe that you should never look into a mirror on Halloween night or you'll see the devil. Personally, if I looked in a mirror after eating that much candy corn and cheap wine, I'd probably see something demonic too. This myth goes way back to Victorian Bloody Mary rituals, because nothing says fun holiday like scaring children into believing reflective glass is a spiritual portal. Honestly, If there were a demon in my bathroom mirror, I'd just ask him to help with my skincare routine. 8. Another Halloween classic. The myth that if you see a bat, death is coming. Yeah, because clearly, that tiny flying mammal that eats mosquitoes is in league with the Grim Reaper. People act like bats are miniature harbingers of doom, when in reality, they're just goth birds who mind their own business. The irony is beautiful. You'll scream at a harmless bat, but spend your weekend binging true crime shows about serial killers like it's therapy. Bats aren't bad luck. They're pest control with wings. 9. Some still believe that witches fly across the moon on Halloween night. Sure, because TSA lets broomsticks through now. This myth comes from medieval Europe, where bored peasants accused any woman with opinions of airborne evil. Fast forward a few centuries, and the only thing flying through the air on Halloween is your Uber Eats order. Witches were never riding brooms. They were just trying to exist in peace, which, come to think of it, still gets people burned on social media today. 10. You've heard the one where you shouldn't cross paths with a black dog on Halloween because it's a sign of death. Okay, sure. Or maybe it's just a Labrador trying to get home before you trip over him in your blackout costume. This myth probably started in folklore, but now it mostly just gives dog walkers unnecessary anxiety. The only thing a black dog signifies is loyalty, and possibly an unfortunate encounter with a fire hydrant. If death actually sent messengers, they'd be HOA presidents. 11. Some parents genuinely think Halloween is dangerous because of strangers. Ironically, they'll still let their kids spend 8 hours a day chatting with strangers on Roblox. Halloween is probably the safest night of the year because every adult is outside watching like unpaid security guards. The real danger isn't abduction. It's losing your mind when your child dumps 400 empty wrappers onto your carpet at midnight. If a stranger hands you free chocolate, just say thanks and move on. You've survived worse, like a PTA bake sale. 12. Then there's the theory that kids should wear reflective gear to avoid being hit by cars. Logical, right? Except that every kid ignores it and dresses as the Grim Reaper anyway. Every Halloween safety PSA acts like the suburbs transform into Mad Max after sunset. Relax, it's not Thunderdome, it's cul-de-sac cosplay. If drivers can't see a 6-year-old dressed as Spider-Man in a flashing LED cape, the problem isn't visibility, it's society. 13. People love saying Halloween full moons are rare and evil. Reality check. A full moon on Halloween is about as dangerous as a slightly overcooked marshmallow. Sure, it looks cinematic, but werewolves aren't clocking in for overtime. The only thing it affects is the number of bad selfies people post with captions like spooky vibes. If the moon had actual power, humanity would have been wiped out during the Twilight era. 14. There's this fun myth that if you hear footsteps behind you on Halloween, it's a ghost. No, it's just Todd from next door trying to scare your kids because he peaked in high school. The human brain is wired for paranoia. We'd rather believe in phantoms than accept that the sound came from a squirrel. Every year, social media fills with unexplained noises that are actually just Ring doorbell glitches. The afterlife isn't stalking you, your Wi-Fi is. 15. Ever heard the one about real human bones being used in haunted houses? Yep, because apparently, Spirit Halloween's budget now includes grave robbing. This myth goes back to a single movie prop story from Poltergeist, which used real skeletons because fake ones were expensive. Now everyone thinks every dollar store skull is a biological artifact. Newsflash, those bones came from a factory in China, not a crypt. The only thing truly dead inside is the person who designed the clown animatronic. 16. Some people believe if you don't wear a costume on Halloween, ghosts will get you. Right, because nothing says spiritual protection like dressing as a sexy firefighter. The original idea was that disguises would confuse evil spirits, but modern ghosts would probably just swipe left on 90% of our outfits. If your defense strategy involves polyester and irony, the spirits aren't attacking you, they're judging your fashion choices. 17. And finally, the classic, if you light a candle at midnight, you can talk to the dead. Sure, and if you microwave aluminum foil, you can talk to God. People love to think they're psychic after a couple glasses of red wine and a scented candle. Spoiler, if your dead grandma wanted to talk, she wouldn't need your Bath & Body Works starter kit. She'd just unplug your Wi-Fi. The veil between worlds isn't thin, your attention span is. 18. One of my personal favorites is the myth that if a candle burns blue on Halloween, a ghost is near. Right, because the laws of thermodynamics take a vacation every October. It's not the air temperature, humidity, or cheap wax. No, it's your dead Uncle Bob saying hi from the afterlife through your $1.99 Yankee candle. People will stare at a flickering flame like it's Morse code from the beyond, but won't replace their smoke detector batteries for 3 years. If spirits were communicating through candles, Bath & Body Works would be the most haunted place in America. And honestly, that tracks. Nothing says trapped souls like 40 women fighting over a 3-wick called Pumpkin Apocalypse. 19. Some people still think witches curse people on Halloween night, as if Susan from accounting is secretly hexing your transmission between sips of Pinot Grigio. The modern witch is more likely to be burning sage for vibes than sacrificing goats for power. But sure, keep posting "protect your energy" while accusing your neighbor of occult activity because her Wi-Fi name is Covenant. The real curse here is Facebook conspiracy groups. If witches truly had that kind of power, every ex-boyfriend would have been turned into a houseplant by now. And honestly, the world would be better for it. 20. There's also the belief that spiders seen on Halloween are the souls of the dead watching over you. Really? Because I just watched one crawl out of my shower drain, and if that's Grandma, she's got some explaining to do. Victorians loved assigning spiritual meaning to bugs, because apparently the afterlife had poor housing options. I'm all for reincarnation, but if eternity means being trapped in a web under my ceiling fan, I'll pass. Still, people gently relocate them outside like they're saving souls. Meanwhile, I'm over here with a shoe, performing an exorcism through blunt force trauma. 21. Some folks genuinely think eating candy corn on Halloween brings good luck. That's not luck. That's poor taste and Stockholm Syndrome. Candy corn isn't food. It's what happens when someone melts crayons and dares to call it festive. It's the only candy that tastes both sweet and apologetic at the same time. The idea that it brings fortune is absurd. The only thing it brings is regret and dental appointments. The fact that we've collectively agreed to pretend it's edible every year is the real horror tradition. 22. People used to believe if you wear your clothes inside out and walk backward on Halloween, you'll see a witch. That's not supernatural. That's just what happens when small-town boredom meets zero entertainment options. Imagine your ancestors doing this with absolute conviction, tripping into a ditch while thinking they've summoned dark forces. Meanwhile, witches are probably watching from the shadows like, "These idiots can't even do laundry right." It's a miracle humanity survived long enough to invent Netflix. 23. Another favorite. If you hear an owl hoot at midnight on Halloween, someone will die. Relax, Karen. It's just a bird with insomnia. Owls have been turned into feathered grim reapers by folklore because people back then didn't understand wildlife. And frankly, neither do we now. They're not predicting death. They're just wondering why you're outside filming TikToks at 12 a.m. If nature had a hit list, half the suburbs would have been gone by now. The owl doesn't care about your mortality. It's just judging your ring light. 24. There's a myth that eating pumpkin seeds on Halloween will protect you from evil. Right, because Satan fears magnesium. This idea probably came from old harvest traditions, but now it's just an excuse for people to snack self-righteously. If pumpkin seeds truly warded off evil, every Trader Joe's would be a sanctuary. Let's be honest, the only thing you're protecting yourself from is hunger. Evil spirits don't care what you're eating. Unless it's hummus, then they'll leave out of sheer pity. 25. Some people still think you can see ghosts in photographs taken on Halloween night. Newsflash: those orbs of light aren't spirits. They're dust, bugs, or your camera trying to process your cousin's bad flash photography. Ghost hunters love to zoom in on blurry pixels like it's paranormal evidence when it's really just proof of bad cleaning habits. If the dead wanted to be seen, they'd photobomb selfies and caption it themselves. Miss you guys haunting you soon. The afterlife has standards, and apparently your phone's exposure setting isn't one of them. 26. There's this legend that if you ring a bell on Halloween, it drives away evil spirits. Because clearly what demons fear most is the sound of a preschool music class. The bell ringing tradition came from church rituals, but it's hilarious to imagine a demon turning away from your house like, damn, they've got the wind chime defense. Honestly, if ringing bells worked, we'd be using them on telemarketers and political canvassers too. But no, the only thing that's scared off is your dignity. 27. People say that if you stare into the fog on Halloween night, you'll see ghostly figures. No, that's just your brain trying to justify the fact that you can't see 2 feet in front of you. Mist has been terrifying humans since forever because we hate not being able to identify what's coming. But here's a fun fact. The scariest thing in that fog is probably a drunk teenager in a costume that costs less than your coffee. The phantoms you're seeing are just suburban silhouettes wandering home with Taco Bell. 28. Some still believe witches turn into black cats on Halloween. Sure, because ancient humans saw a cat minding its business and thought, yep, shape-shifting woman. This comes from medieval Europe, where misogyny and bad eyesight worked hand in hand. Now, it's just an excuse for people to act scared of perfectly normal pets. If witches could turn into cats, they'd never turn back. Free food, naps all day, and passive aggression? That's not a curse. That's retirement. 29. There's a myth that eating an apple at midnight will reveal your true love's face in the reflection. Yeah, because nothing screams romance like aggressively staring into fruit under the moonlight. Victorians really had too much time on their hands. I've looked into plenty of apples in my life, mostly just saw my reflection questioning every decision I've ever made. If apples could show soulmates, dating apps wouldn't exist. Spoiler, the only thing that's coming out of that apple is fruit flies. 30. Some people think lighting orange candles on Halloween attracts good spirits, because clearly, ghosts are color-coded now. This one's based on candle magic, but in practice, it's just people setting off fire alarms with enthusiasm. I've seen Halloween altars that look like a Yankee candle exploded. If you're truly trying to attract positive energy, maybe start by not setting your tablecloth on fire. Spirits aren't picky. They're just tired of everyone misusing matches. 31. A charming superstition claims that if you hear footsteps but no one's there, it's a ghost following you home. Or, hear me out, it's your echo, Karen. Humans have a deep need to make everything spooky on Halloween, even basic acoustics. You'll convince yourself there's a phantom stalking you while wearing Bluetooth earbuds blasting true crime podcasts. The dead aren't following you home. They have better taste in company. You're just not that interesting. 32. People swear that witches dance in the woods on Halloween night. I mean, technically, yes, but now they call it a forest rave and sell tickets on Eventbrite. The witch's Sabbath was an old myth about women meeting to conjure spirits, but the modern version involves glow sticks and kombucha. If you see lights flickering in the distance, it's not black magic. It's just people doing yoga under the moon and pretending it's spiritual. The real curse is the playlist. 33. Some claim ghosts can't cross running water, which means, apparently, every haunted house just needs a lazy river. This myth comes from old folklore where spirits were bound to their burial sites, but in modern times, it's become a weird geographical insult to the afterlife. So, according to legend, the dead can defy physics, but not plumbing. Incredible. Next time you hear footsteps in the attic, just install a sink. 34. And finally, my favorite, the belief that if you don't say trick or treat, the spirits will curse you. No, the only curse you'll get is a disappointed homeowner muttering about manners. The phrase was invented in the 1920s as a polite threat. Give candy or we vandalize your house. Somehow, we turned extortion into tradition. It's less ancient magic and more organized begging with costumes. If ghosts really cared about candy etiquette, they'd be haunting dentists, not children. 35. Apparently, some people still believe that if you yawn on Halloween night, a ghost will crawl into your mouth. Which is horrifying, yes, but mostly because it implies ghosts are just floating germs with bad aim. The logic here is spectacular. Spirits can walk through walls, defy gravity, and haunt your dreams. But their master plan for possession involves waiting for someone to get bored during Hocus Pocus 2. Imagine explaining that to an exorcist. So, how did it happen? Well, Father, I forgot to cover my mouth during a yawn. Honestly, if the afterlife is that desperate for housing, maybe it's not demons we should fear. It's the real estate market. 36. There's a charming old myth that if you put salt on your doorstep, ghosts can't enter your house. Because apparently, the undead are just giant slugs. Somewhere in history, someone saw a snail dissolve and thought, ah ha ha, demon defense. Don't get me wrong, salt does something, mostly raises your blood pressure and ruins your driveway. But it's not going to stop your grandma's ghost from judging your life choices. If spirits are repelled by seasoning, maybe we should start sprinkling garlic and paprika too. Who knows? Maybe that's why Italian grandmothers never experience hauntings. Their kitchens are spiritually bulletproof. 37. One myth says if you see your shadow on Halloween night, you'll die before next year. First of all, congratulations. You just cursed 7 billion people and every street lamp on Earth. This one probably came from the same people who thought eclipses were divine punishments. Shadows aren't omens. They're physics. You can't escape them. Literally. Imagine running around with a flashlight trying not to die like you're trapped in a horror-themed Fitbit challenge. If the Grim Reaper's new metric for death is spotted your own silhouette, then we're all on borrowed time. 38. There's a belief that if you knock on a coffin on Halloween, you'll wake the dead. Or in modern terms, you'll just get arrested for trespassing. Graveyard myths are peak human stupidity, like we collectively forgot how decomposition works. I'm pretty sure if the dead were going to wake up, it wouldn't be because you gave their box a gentle tap. It'd be because someone nearby started playing Nickelback. Yet people still sneak into cemeteries like it's a goth field trip, daring each other to summon spirits. The only thing you're summoning is tetanus. 39. Some think you can trap a ghost in a jar by leaving it open overnight on Halloween. Oh yes, the paranormal Tupperware method. I love the mental image of someone sprinting through their kitchen with a mason jar yelling, "Got one!" like they're ghost busting for Etsy. The idea probably came from Victorian spiritualists, who also believed in seances, and charging extra for seances. If ghosts could be trapped in jars, every flea market would be a containment facility. Instead, you've just left an open jar on your porch like a confused firefly. 40. There's a legend that if you walk around your house 3 times backward before midnight, you'll see the devil. Yeah, or you'll just see your neighbor calling the cops. Every culture has some version of this ritual, and none of them end well. The devil isn't showing up to watch you do laps in your driveway. He's got better things to do, like managing TikTok. The only evil you're summoning is dizziness and regret. But hey, if you want to give your Ring doorbell footage a Halloween update, go for it. 41. Another timeless classic. If you find a spider in your candy bag, it means someone's cursed you. No, it means you dropped your candy bag on the lawn. Nature doesn't respect holidays. But go ahead, panic, because nothing says rational adult like burning your entire pillowcase full of Reese's over a daddy longlegs. Ironically, spiders actually kill the bugs that ruin your life. They're the unpaid interns of pest control. But sure, keep screaming about witchcraft while living in a world where mosquitoes are still legal. 42. There's a myth that if you burn an old broom on Halloween, you'll drive away bad luck. Which makes sense, because nothing cures misfortune like committing arson in your driveway. Brooms became witch symbols centuries ago, and somehow the logic evolved into set them on fire for good vibes. Every year, someone tries this and ends up on their local news under the headline, "Festive Fire Destroys Garage." It's poetic justice. You wanted to get rid of bad energy. Now you have to rebuild your shed. 43. Some people believe if you bury a candle in your yard on Halloween, you'll protect your home from spirits. Yeah, because nothing deters a supernatural entity like a half-burned Yankee candle slowly decomposing in your front lawn. I'm sure the ghost of your great aunt is trembling at the sight of pumpkin spice defense number 5. Meanwhile, your HOA is sending you a fine for seasonal littering. The only thing you're protecting yourself from is a clean inspection report. 44. There's this gem. If you keep your lights off on Halloween, ghosts can't find you. It's basically the adult version of, if I close my eyes, the monster disappears. Ghosts aren't raccoons. They're not confused by darkness. You're not hiding from spirits. You're just announcing to the entire neighborhood that you're the fun vacuum who doesn't hand out candy. Congratulations. You've repelled both the living and the dead. You're spiritually consistent. I'll give you that. 45. Some people believe that if you eat garlic on Halloween, you'll be protected from vampires. You won't? You'll just be single until Christmas. The garlic myth came from Eastern Europe and stuck around because apparently humans will believe anything as long as it smells aggressive. Vampires aren't real, but halitosis definitely is. So yes, Technically, you are repelling creatures of the night. They're just human. Honestly, if vampires were real, they'd probably skip you anyway out of self-preservation. 46. There's a myth that if you hear your name whispered on Halloween and no one's there, it's a spirit calling you. Or, and stay with me here, maybe it's just your brain. The same one that convinces you your phone's buzzing when it isn't. Humans are walking anxiety machines that hear what we want to hear. If ghosts are whispering names, they must be the world's worst communicators. You have the power of interdimensional travel, and your big move is whispering like an ASMR influencer? Aim higher, Casper. 47. Supposedly, if you throw a shoe over your shoulder on Halloween and it lands facing the door, you'll travel soon. This might be true, mostly because someone will drive you to the ER after you dislocate your shoulder doing it. Old folklore loved predicting travel through footwear, which makes me wonder if ancient people were just bored cobblers looking for job security. The shoe says you'll visit family. Yeah, because they live next door, Gary. The only trip you're taking tonight is over your own dignity. 48. There's a myth that ringing church bells at midnight can summon the dead for judgment. Fantastic. Because what I really want during spooky season is a ghost performance review. You've been haunting inconsistently, Steve. Try more chains next time. The idea probably started as a warning against noisemaking, but humans, being humans, turned it into an open mic for the undead. Honestly, if the dead are listening, they're probably begging us to stop making them trend on YouTube every October. 49. Some people believe if you put out a bowl of milk for spirits, they'll bless your home. Okay, first of all, gross. You're not attracting ghosts, you're feeding raccoons. Imagine waking up to a yard full of wildlife having a lactose-fueled rave while you think angels are protecting your mortgage. The idea of feeding the dead is ancient, but modern America turned it into free buffet for vermin. Congratulations, your spiritual ritual is now a pest control problem. 50. And then there's the myth that saying Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror actually works. It doesn't. Unless by works, you mean summoning your own reflection and realizing you haven't slept since 2019. This urban legend has been traumatizing sleepovers for decades, yet no one ever stops to ask why a murderous Victorian ghost would hang out in your bathroom next to a plunger. If Mary is real, she's probably exhausted. Imagine being summoned every 5 minutes by a group of preteens with flashlights and trust issues. 51. And finally, the dumbest Halloween myth of all, that it's just for kids. Sure, because nothing says maturity like pretending adulthood isn't one long horror movie with paperwork. Halloween isn't childish, it's the only honest holiday we have. One night a year, we admit that life is weird, death exists, and everyone's pretending not to be terrified. It's not about ghosts or candy, it's about coping with existence in a polyester cape and plastic fangs. The real myth is that we ever grow out of it. Trick or treat, kids. Adulthood's the scariest costume of all. And there you have it. Proof that human intelligence takes a personal vacation every October. Hit like, subscribe, and brace yourself. The next batch of nonsense is already brewing.